Hi, welcome back. Here we are, our final ecology presentation. I know, I'm excited. So I'm going to go through my slides and show you Muddy Mudskipper. I have my opening slide. Make sure your opening slide looks like something you'd like to turn in. At this point, you've been receiving grades all along, but here is your final grade for this project. So if you've missed a couple of checkpoints coming along, okay, fine. Turn in the final thing and let me evaluate it for you. And so part of this participation is you putting in some effort and showing me that you've been working on your slides. The first slide in our Muddy Mudskipper was our table of contents. And you'll see at this point, as of yesterday, we had 29 slides. 30 is going to be extra info. I'll show you what I did with that. And then 31 will be references and just copy and paste and things that you've kept track of. So look at this beautiful table of contents. I tell you, it feels so good to have so much work done and for it to not have felt exhausting and overwhelming because we've been doing it a little bit of a time. Common name Mudskipper picture. Biological classification, make sure you've taken, so I've given you feedback on most of your work. And so make sure if I gave you feedback on this, you fixed the biological classification. The description, just general description of your organism. Here's the general description of my Mudskipper. Details about how this Mudskipper was classified, how many genera are there, what do we know about them, just super simple. And again, I'm going to remind you, please no copying and pasting. Then we looked at the species in the genera that you had chosen. So this should be already completed. And if you have pictures, great. And if you don't, great. Global distribution, where can I find these organisms around the world? And now that we're doing this, here is my virtual field trip, right? I had no clue I was going to go to Singapore when I started this. What's the habitat like in general? So we kind of started with habitat and then we've ended with habitat because now we know so much more. So that subtropical brackish water, we were supposed to include things like temperature, rainfall, and vegetation, and I haven't gone back and put that in. I need to because it's due tomorrow. What about the energy? How does your organism get energy? And I actually learned something along the way that I did not know before, that some are autotrophs. No, sorry, they're not autotrophs. That's stupid. I can't believe I said that. Some eat algae instead of insects, crustaceans, small worms. So I'm going to update this and say, while some eat algae. So that idea that at the point I was doing my research, I only knew what I knew, and now I know more. So still heterotrophs, still consumers, but I added algae to the list. So what I did was I didn't update my energy flow chain. I kept my chain the same, but I actually added algae down here to my food web because this Mudskipper might not eat algae in the ecosystem, but Mudskippers can. And so I've been, we kind of over time have said, okay, we're studying this specific species, but we realize that that could be difficult. So we're adding in information. So that Mudskipper could get its energy from algae, worms, small fish, etc. Mudskipper reproduction. How does your organism reproduce? How does it show off? How does it attract a mate? When it does attract a mate, what does it do? Is it internal fertilization? Is it external fertilization? How long is their gestation period? So if you're doing something like a lion, how long is the lion pregnant? If you're doing something like an armadillo, how long does the armadillo hold those babies until the babies are born? And then what does a little baby armadillo look like? Because that's going to be real cute. Then I found a short video explaining some of the facts about the Mudskipper, and this went with reproduction. Then we got to the physiological ecology. So this was really adaptations, and some of you guys decided to just write adaptations, which I totally appreciate because that's what I meant. So what are the adaptations that your organism has that helps it survive in the environment? That's this slide. Then we added the geologic timescale. Then we talked about the evolution, and I stepped back and I did the evolution of just my class of ray-finned fishes. And then I added the evolution of my order. So I have kingdom, phylum, class, order, and then family, genus, species. And so this middle part, these SBPP, those are the genera, and these are the different species of those genera. And I noticed that mudskippers are pretty young relative to the evolution of fishes. So that was kind of a cool learning experience. Then we went on our virtual field trip. So we're going to have to do a 22-hour flight. Sorry, it's going to be long, but we'll read books or something, or maybe we'll continue our research. We're going to the Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve. It's in Singapore. Once we arrive at the airport, we're going to drive to the reserve. The reserve, I've got a satellite view and a map view. I went to TripAdvisor and found out that this reserve got really good ratings, and that there's the mud flats where I am going to look for my mudskipper. I also learned that there's tons of walking trails. There's a nature center, there's an education center, there's a visitor center, that this is going to be way cooler than I had planned. Lots of migratory birds. Ooh, I did find out, I know I planned my trip for June, I said, but September to March is better for migration of birds. So I might have to delay my trip to September, October, November, which is a brilliant time to go to Singapore, right? Maybe we'll go over Christmas break and then it will be super warm and we can get out of the cold. Then I found some pictures from my reserve, my location of the mudskipper getting nice and moist in its pool, and then the tracks, which were super cool. And then I found this short video describing that reserve that we were going to. We added our ecosystem, our habitat slide. And so this would be my mangrove wetland. Then I talked about the benefits of a healthy wetland with the biodiversity and including my mudskipper. And then I talked about the threats. My final slide is going to be a slide of anything you want to do. What have you been saving? What have you wanted to show me? And so I put together first a little GIF, which I thought was adorable. Their eyeballs are so cool. Not only do their eyeballs, they actually work independently of each other. They can actually open and close each eyeball independently, and they actually can see independently, and they can see up. So they can see an aerial view. They can do one side, all around. Their eyes are really neat. Their eyes also have to keep very, very, very moist. So they're constantly doing that, which is pretty cute. I wanted to identify some of the key facts that I learned that I wanted to remember. Mudskipper are classified as fish. They're not amphibians. They're sort of amphibious fish. They can be land, water, but they're classified as fish. Mudskippers can walk on land. Super weird. They use their pectoral fins to do that, and they can also use their pectoral fins to jump up. I did find out with some research, and I didn't know where to put this. I guess I could have put it in the description slide, but I found it later. In the wild, their life expectancy is about 5 years. In captivity, it's less. They live less. And yeah, I found some websites of people actually having mudskippers as pets. And I don't know. It just seems like a sad thing. I do know that the Denver Zoo in Tropical Discovery has mudskippers. So when the Denver Zoo opens and Tropical Discovery opens, you're going to get in there and see the mudskippers because they're real cute. And they're tiny. They're tinier than you think they're going to be. With their fins, they can use their fins to defend their territory. They can use fins to attract a mate. During mating season, you can see the mudskipper up here. They have these cells in their skin that can change colors. They can breathe through their skin. There's just so many cool things about my mudskipper, and that's this final slide. What other stuff do you want to tell me? And then, of course, my references, which I did not do a good job keeping track of. I'll add to that, I promise. So going back to our table of contents. Do the best you can. Get all the information that you can and get it going. I haven't figured out a way for us to present to each other yet, but I'm working on it. I'm brainstorming. If you have some ideas, let me know. And I will see you soon.